You are now tuned in to another episode of the Spillover Effect Podcast with work-life expert Michael Dickerson. The Spillover Effect Podcast is where Michael will help you understand how attitudes in one role can spill over into another, causing the spillover effect. With each conversation with well-known leaders, HR executives, managers, and hard-working employees, Michael wants to help organizations create positive workplace experiences. So let's explore the positive workplace experiences employees are having and what we can do to improve the overall employee experience. Here's Michael A. Dickerson with the Spillover Effect Podcast.
Welcome to the Spillover Effect Podcast, where we have conversations how to help organizations create positive workplace experiences. I am your host, Michael Dickerson, and we have a good friend of mine in the studio today, Bruce Waight Sr.
Thank you.
He is the CEO, the founder, the Ace Boon Coon of Rooted Plus Barbershop.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
What is that? Why did you put the plus? I know people always want to know why you put the Rooted Plus shop.
Because I wanted it to be like a shop, somewhere that has a lot of retail. The idea was really I wanted to have my own product line, and so that's something I do have. I have a small beard product line. I want to expand on that. And I actually this year, with COVID, everything kind of got thrown off, but wanted to kind of expand on that product line. So I kind of pulled back on it and intended to revamp it and bring it back out with something a little bit different, something new, but the same. We have a beard oil and what we call like a beard butter. It's like a conditioner, and then we had a beard soap. And so the Plus shop, I feel like my experience being in a barbershop, a lot of especially a lot of your black-owned shops, a lot of our shops, man, they don't do a lot of retail. In fact, we don't even do. It's such a billion-dollar industry, the barber and beauty industry, salon industry, and I think that we are on the consumer side of it, the consumer end of it. And I think now in the last maybe decade, you're really starting to see more black-owned businesses doing the product end of it. And so that's kind of where the shop came in at.
Okay.
So, and I just thought it was, creative. So, but that's literally what that means, Barber Plus Shop. So plus you get to shop.
Absolutely. That's good.
Yeah, thank you. And so I've done decent with it. I do have some new ideas that I want to do. Hopefully things don't get shut back down and we can keep it rolling.
Yeah, check out Bruce's shop on Classon. What's the address?
It's 3515 North Classon. 3515
North Classon, Rooted Barber Plus Shop, and he has some great merch in there as Cuts and Culture. Tell us a little bit about Cuts and Culture. What made you come up with that?
Cuts and Culture, man, just really thinking about and really wanting to be intentional about the type of establishment that I wanted. I wanted it to be different than what you would normally kind of used to. And I felt like the culture was important. The culture, just not our culture, the hip hop culture, black culture, Caribbean culture, because that's kind of all the things that I feel like I bring to the table. But then the barber culture, and being in the barbershop, I mean that's a culture on its own. And so, Cuts is just representative of the barbershop itself as far as the skilled side of it. The cut, that's what you're coming for. You coming for the cuts. And then the cultures is what that's the add-on. That's what you go get.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of culture in there. And one of the reasons I brought Bruce on the podcast is because he is one of the first black barbershops that's really inclusive, and it's a different type of experience. Even when people see pictures and stuff, and they see you got, you have white people, you got black people, you got Hispanics, even your barbers are of different ethnicities. And so I really want to talk about that piece in terms of what was your mindset around, I want to create an inclusive barbershop. I know you always talk about it, and I hear you discuss it a lot. You walk in a barbershop, people feel really uncomfortable. But one thing I know about your barbershop, people feel really comfortable about coming. It doesn't matter what your ethnic background or your race are, or your sexual orientation.
Right.
You got every types of individuals come in your shop. So that's why I want to have a conversation with you about that.
It's so much wrapped around that. It's so many layers, And the one thing I think about with that is as I wanted to be intentional about being inclusive, I didn't want to water it down. I didn't want to water down what it meant to be my idea of a black-owned barbershop. And I didn't want to, because in this industry, and I'll say this, I don't know if a lot of people agree with me. They don't have to agree with me, but it's the truth. This industry is so segregated. And what I mean by that is literally, I think most of us want to go somewhere and get a haircut by somebody that maybe looks like us, and so also, so you have your Asian barbershops, your black barbershops, your Hispanic barbershops, your white barbershops. And a lot of the times it stays that way because of the skill level of being able to maybe cut that hair tight, right? So the industry has kind of stayed that way. There's really no beefs about it. I don't think, now you see a lot of that where you see kind of barbershops like mine, and they have different barbers in there. I think right now what we do as far as the skill set on the black side of things, I think right now it's really hot. Right now, everyone wants these tight fades and tapers. They kind of the waves, the natural on top, the lock. They kind of want what we're doing, what we've been doing for a long time. It's become really popular, especially with social media. And so I think what happened is it was a shift of who can supply the demand. And I think that you have a lot of people that want to go to the black barbershop because what we're doing is in demand right now.
How did you know all right, I got something here? How did you know? Okay, because in concept it might be good in your head, but how did you know okay, this is gonna work? And you started having those people come in who was of different backgrounds, and you was creating that environment. How did you know it was gonna work? Did you see anything, or you just knew right off? All right, this is gonna work because it's different.
Yeah, no, I think I knew it was gonna work, but I wasn't ever thinking about it was different. I was thinking this is more intentional. This is more has more purpose to it, right? I didn't even think, this is new or it's brand. I wasn't thinking like that. I was just thinking I want to do something that has more purpose, that has meaning behind it. And I think a lot of times when we jump into business, we just thinking about that bottom dollar. I'm probably terrible at my books, but I don't move because of the money. And so I think that's what made me successful, because at the end of the day, I'm not really, it's crazy to say that, because I have bills. I got overhead. I got, COVID tried to kick my butt, man. And so, but I just never move like that. I just never think about that. And I do very well for myself. And I think because of that, because I guess I have such a big heart and I'm trying to be intentional and I want the people to understand the culture, feel the culture. I want people to be able to come and experience what it is. A lot of, it's crazy because a lot of people come in our barbershop and they look around, especially if they're not black, they kind of look around like, man, I don't know if I'm, they kind of nervous to come in there.
Right.
And I think a lot of people.
And I've felt that before when I've been in there, but it seems like eventually.
Oh, I'm going to drag them in there. Man, come on in.
Come on in.
I ain't even going to get out of there. I'm going to drag you in there.
And the way you approach it is good too. And you very professional. You come on in. if I can't get you, sit down. You know, it ain't rap music like just blaring. It don't make you feel real uncomfortable. And so I think that's that culture. That's that culture piece that I think is important.
And I don't think, and like I said, man, at the end of the day, Mike, I try to be professional. I think that's missing from our industry. I preach that all the time because I despise it because I feel like people look down at our industry. And I love what I do, man. I absolutely love it. If I can cut hair till I'm 99, I'm going to cut hair till I'm 99 because I love it. And I think a key component of what's missing, especially for us, I can't speak on, like I said, it's segregated. So I can't speak on the Asian folks and the white folks. But I know in my community, I feel like the barbershop is the cornerstone of the community. And it's always been like that. And so you go in there and you smelling weed and brothers passing a bottle around, drinking. They supposed to be at work, you know. And somebody could look at that like that's the culture. But I don't believe that's the culture.
Right.
You know. And so I want to give you professionalism, whatever you consider that may be, but with the culture. So I don't water it down, but at the same time, I want you to feel welcome so you can have an opportunity to experience that. You know, don't be afraid. There's no reason why you should be afraid of coming into an establishment. This is a business.
Right.
At the end of the day, it should welcome everybody.
It should welcome everybody.
It should welcome. And if the way we're conducting business is keeping you out of my business, then you're doing it wrong. Then you're doing it wrong. I don't care how prideful or what you think. You're absolutely doing it wrong. And if it can't be inclusive, if you can't invite everyone in, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and the thing is, so a lot of we hear now, especially in the workplaces, around diversity and inclusion. And one of the things diversity is really about, you know, we celebrate people's differences. But inclusion and why I really want to talk to you, because that was important, is that you make everybody feel like they belong, because that's what inclusion about. And I think that piece is so big in your barbershop, man. And I just love it to be able to walk in there and you can talk to anybody. And we have these conversations. And we've had heated conversations, but even from different, you know, ethnic groups or different people, but I think that's what you need to have those conversations. So I think that's what makes up your shop, man.
You have to. And it's still a barbershop. I mean, we still are with the gossip all week long. We've been talking about Will and Jada. All week long. So, you know,
Will and Jada.
You know, so we still going to have some fun. And, but man, I think people really feel the difference, you know. And then we have, you know, our homeless alliance component where we put the shop at the homeless alliance, and so I think when we have our, you know, the volunteer humanitarian type work associated with us as well. You know, that was a big deal. We get people that come to our barbershop simply because of the work that we do outside the barbershop.
That's another big reason why I want to have you on, because I also consider you a community organizer.
Thank you.
I think that's really a big piece of what you do. It's almost like you use your barbershop as the platform.
It is the platform
to reach out into the community.
It is the
platform. I really commend you for that, because you don't see that for the most part, just reaching out to community. And I also know your story a little bit, because I've heard you tell it about your father being homeless, and that's one of the reasons why you really want to reach out to the community, because you thought that was really important.
Yeah, that's the reason I went harder. You know, I didn't know. You know, we didn't know. And he lived out his car plan for what we understand over a year. And my parents weren't married. They were divorced, and they lived in the same city in San Antonio, so that's where I grew up at. And I was here, and my brother he's military, so he's always traveling. So, you know, sometimes it might be a year and a half before we get back home. And, man, nobody knew. And it was crazy how I found out, because it was actually at his funeral. You know, he had cancer and he passed away. And so it was at his funeral when I found out. Now, I was already doing the work. So I feel like, I don't know what spirits was driving me. I feel like, man, everybody that can help somebody, or like, I always say fight the fight. Like, pick your fight and fight the fight. I can't spread myself too thin.
Right.
You know, and for whatever reason, years ago, years ago, I mean, even before I found out my dad was, had gone through that, I was volunteering. Something kind of drew me to that. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna use my skill and do something good for somebody, And I know what that feeling is like, because I love getting a haircut. I need one right now. You know, I'm looking bad now. And so, but when I found out about my dad, that's when I was like, okay, I got to do something bigger with a little more purpose in this area. And so, man, I got a great sponsorship from Bob Moore Subaru, and I literally built a barbershop inside of the Homeless Alliance Day Shelter. Yeah. And I created a program to help to have volunteers go down and help. And so we have schools involved, we have professionals involved that go down there, man, and give these haircuts. I mean, it's a real cool thing.
What's the name of the program?
It's called the Hair Collaborative.
Okay.
So that's the program. If you want to go on my website, rootedokc.com, you can volunteer for that. Also, the Homeless Alliance has a really great website, and you can volunteer through there. Right now, with COVID, they're just doing like essential stuff.
Aren't y'all partnership with the Spec Homes too? Or you do
stuff
with the Spec Homes?
Because
I used to work with the Spec Homes when I worked with young people, so I did a lot of stuff with the Spec Homes.
Oh man, so the Spec. So when we have the mobile, we also have the mobile barbershop en route. So when we were doing en route, one of our new clients knew the executive director, Mr. McPherson, over at SPAC. And I guess she reached out to him unbeknownst to me, and he reached back out to me and was like, hey, man, I heard you got this going on, and I want to see how you feel about this. And at the time, I knew that SPAC was going to a barber school. And I knew the owner of the school. So I didn't want to seem like I was doing something dirty, something foul. So I told Mr. McPherson, hey, I know that you're taking them boys down there. I don't want to. And he was like, look, I called you. I reached out to you. So what do you want to do? Do you want my business or not? And so I took the business. And so we were going out there once a month with the mobile, and now that we got the brick and mortar, they come out once a month. In fact, we just threw them Juneteenth/4th of July cookout this past Sunday, and so that's just another part of the community, piece that we do. And I feel like it's our responsibility.
Absolutely.
I really feel like it's our because even if we get to reach, first of all, you getting a haircut, you automatically gonna feel better about yourself. And
it's no different than when a woman go get her nails done, get her feet done, get her hair done.
Right.
She feels a whole lot better.
Right. It's no different. And when you're dealing with kids or people that's dealing with homelessness, man, and you just lift their spirits so much. They such in a tough situation. A lot of them guys, especially, a lot of the ones that's dealing with homelessness, man, I can't, they'll tell you, I ain't been in a barbershop. I can't tell the last time I came into a barbershop.
Wow.
So, and we got a legit barbershop. If you ever come to Rudy, of course you have, but if anyone watching this comes to Rudy, literally the shop, the establishment that we put inside of the homeless shelter looks just like that, just mini. It's just smaller, But I did the same exact thing.
Now, is there a certain day that you go, or anybody can go?
Anybody can go.
I mean, is there a certain time period?
Well, right now it's shut down with COVID. So right now they're just doing essential things. But when it opens back up, it's Monday through Friday, and the hours, I believe, will be from like 9 a.m. to, I believe, like 11 a.m., and then it'll pick back up at 1 a.m. to 3 p.m. So anybody, if you're a licensed professional, you can volunteer. If you want to volunteer and you don't have a license, we can't really allow that. And we have schools, so I have like 3 schools involved that kind of rotate every other month or so. They bring the students down. So it's crazy. It's crazy, man. When we open that up, we got a lot of support. And so it's just, people are doing it. I see across the country, people are doing things like barbers are volunteering their times, and specific to, people that are dealing with homelessness. But, man, I think I took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by being intentional.
Yeah, being intentional.
I took that thing to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And I don't receive it, and I dumped a lot of money, and I still do. I don't, I feel good.
Yeah, a thing that when we was talking that stuck out to me, and I was like, man, that's really good what you just said. We had a meeting earlier this week, and you said there's two ways that people usually tend to get involved in their community. They can either give money or they can give their time. Right. And I think it's important. Like, you need to decide like what you want to do, because some people don't have the time, but they can give the money. Right. Some people don't have the money, but they can give the time, right? So I thought that was just, that was some wisdom right there when you talked about, there's two ways they can either do it. Yeah. And, I know you're trying to do both, but I think when people listen to this or they figure out what they can do, like if you don't have the money, give your time. If that's 30 minutes, if that's an hour, and we also know that anytime you volunteer, it makes you feel good. Mm-hmm. It gives like a haircut. It gives you a sense of like, I'm investing into my community. So I like that wisdom that you gave out, dished out. Yeah,
and I tell people I've never done it to receive a blessing, if you will. Mm-hmm. But, man, shoot, things are happening for you. Doors open up. If you're doing it with a pure heart and you're really just trying to help, you'll be amazed of just people you will inspire and doors that are open up for you. So, it's just, it's like a win-win, And so that's why I do it. I just do it because I know I want to help people. I just got a big heart. That's just how I am. I love to help people. It was so funny. I've been having some issues. I'm trying to hold on to my 08 Avalanche, and I've been having issues with it. And I took it to my mechanic, and he said, man, you been doing it, like anything electrical going on with your truck? And I'm like, nah. He said, have you been jumping people? I said, yeah, man, I had a sister outside the shop. I was, trying to help her probably like 2 or 3 times this week. Mm-hmm. He said, man, you got to stop
jumping people.
Stop jumping people. Yeah. And I'm like, why? Man, you going to tear your computer up in here or whatever. I said, I didn't know that. Because it ain't nothing to, it ain't nothing to just stop and help somebody.
Yeah, just help out.
Just help somebody.
So where you see right now with the Black Lives Matter and everything, where you see the black community probably going in terms of just the transformation that I think is sort of taking place. I know you really get involved in that type of stuff, and so I think everybody's been involved in it. So where you see it going?
Man, first of all, I'm probably the most pro-black, light-skinned brother you ever gonna see. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't, man. I'm 42, and I grew up. The thing about it for me is, so I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, east side. It's set up kind of just like this, except it's predominantly like Hispanic. And then you got the east side of town, predominantly black. That's where I grew up at. I went to Martin Luther King Middle School, Sam Houston High School. So, I grew up in the thick of it. And we've had our, issues there as well, back in the 80s and 90s. I think I think what we've lost, and it's scary to think about it because you see it in the news, man, and you see some of your across the country Black Lives Matters leaders coming up missing, coming up dead. Mm-hmm. I think the intimidation is always going to be there, but I would say the leadership, and sometimes, like with George Floyd, for whatever reason, his death sparked a worldwide uproar of rights for black men and women across the globe.
That was the most fascinating thing to me.
Right.
When I seen Germany and the Netherlands and Europe and people in Spain.
I had never seen that.
I had never seen something like that in my life. I was like, oh, okay. When it cross the borders and across the ocean, it's something serious.
And to sit here and think, well, what was special about George Floyd? Mm-hmm. That might be a hard pill to swallow, and no disrespect to his family, no disrespect to anybody. But at the end of the day, what was so special about his? Because we see it all the time, if not already a victim of it, And so when I say that is because I believe it's leadership. But sometimes, like, leadership is not groomed. Sometimes it's the George Floyd. It's just the person that maybe just touched the hearts of everybody and brought, and it's, sometimes it's not so. I was looking for Obama. I'm like, when Barack was done with his 2 terms, I'm like, this is going to be out. This is the person that's going to bring us out of this mess. And I understood how, he was constrained in the Oval Office. And I was like, man, when he get out, okay, I want him to take a little vacation.
Right.
Go swimming, take your wife to the beach, do your thing.
Go back to Hawaii.
But then we need you. We need you. And I was so disappointed because we need leadership because we dealing with racism and then we dealing with the black on black.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that when we think of leadership, it's not always big.
Right.
It can be somebody like you.
Right.
That's leadership.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Who's a business owner, who's investing in their community,
right.
who, putting people to work. Like, to me, that's leadership. I think too many times we look for the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X. But it takes us coming together, people who's doing pockets of things, choosing what your task is going to be, and saying, hey, let's pull together. And I think that's what we need more of instead of for so long. I think black people just looking like, oh, we need this big leader, or we need the next Martin. And no, we don't. We need to just pull it together.
We need the George Floyd, the unexpected, the person that you didn't expect would bring the world together. We need that person, and that's why I say that person isn't being groomed. That person is just going to come out of nowhere and bring the people together. And it might be multiple people, and it's a lot of, we have these tough talks at the barbershop, and they what is the black community doing? And man, I said, man, there's so many moving parts, but if you're not involved, if you're not out there speaking with the people, if you're not seeing where you can make an impact,
absolutely,
and so that's what I try to do. I try to make an impact on every level. But like I said, my fight is homelessness, and when I say my fight, I said what I put my energy in.
Absolutely,
when it comes to being volunteering and things like that, and it's the group homes. But I'll be out there marching, man. I mean, when it's time to march, I was out there, keeping my social distance.
Social distance with your mask on, I don't know how much social distancing people are doing these days, but we don't know how it's gonna look in the next 6 months when we hit the winter. So, I'm curious, like when you was looking for to bring people into your shop. Is there a certain, I know you want to belong, but I know you need somebody who also is experienced. And I also see you grooming people too. Yeah. So is there a certain type of barbers that you like, okay, making sure that they're professional, because even though you want to bring people along and say, hey, we belong, I know it's still you running a business and you want to make sure that that they line up with what you're trying to portray out there into the community.
The first thing I look for is your commitment level to the industry, right? Because there's so many different levels that you could take. You got some barbers, they want to be your superstar. They want to cut the athletes. They want to be out there. They kind of want to be independent. So I look for the team player because we're a team. We're not in there fighting over haircuts or trying to who is the best in the barbershop. Nothing like that. We're a team. But it's your commitment to the industry because, again, especially for us, I feel like we have not really given this industry growth like it should have. We've allowed this industry it's almost like an old house. Like if you don't put the maintenance to the, that old house gonna crumble one day. We done let the roof. We ain't done the roof. The roof got holes in it, and some of the windows is, we haven't taken care of this industry, man. We have not. And so that's what I look for. I look for someone who really wants to be in this industry, cares about this industry. And regardless if you want to be, or irregardless, if you want to be a superstar barber or, your own, have your own barbershop, I just look for the qualities that would make up someone that just really cares about the industry and that really respects this industry and upholds it. Because it can be dangerous, man. When COVID hit and they shut everything down, of course I want to protect the community, and I didn't, but I wasn't completely happy with that because I feel like a part of that was that people don't really respect our industry. So, and I know it was the essential, non-essential debate. But the thing,
remember what I told you? I said they opening up the marijuana shops. I was like, I understand why the marijuana shops is open.
And the liquor stores.
Yeah, so a lot of barbershops ain't open.
And so I was upset about that. But a large part of the reason why I was upset is because we have the skill set and the knowledge and the education on safety and sanitation, and we have the chemicals and the equipment to make sure that things are safe and sanitary, And so I think a lot of that our clients and the public, like, they don't really know that, and they probably don't know it because it's probably not really happening in the shop that they go to. I had somebody telling me today that one of my new guys, in fact, it's a girl, and she was telling me that when they were in school, that one of the students went to visit one of these local barbershops in the area. I won't say who it is. And this is supposed to be a barber that has been in the industry for years. For years. This brother probably been in the industry for 20 years. And as he was watching, now he fresh out of school, so when you're in school, you're getting, they're really pumping safety and sanitation on you. Like, that's a large amount of hours because they want to make sure. That's huge. That's more than trying to learn how to cut hair. And so he watched this brother use the same razor blade, he said, on like 3 or 4 people. It's things like that that make people look at us as barbers. Job, or that's not a real career, or they ain't really, they cheating on their taxes and stealing from the government, and so that's what I wanted to come away from. I wanted to put what did baby say? I wanted to put the respect back on the barbering industry, especially for us. Put the respect back on it, and I think we lost that respect because how we conduct ourselves, and so that's the qualities I really look for. Like, do you really care about this industry? Because everything else is going to come along.
Right.
You're going to acquire the skill. As far as understanding how to communicate with people, the professionalism, all that stuff will come along. I can groom you to do that stuff. But if you don't care about this industry, and I can tell that you don't care about this industry, I don't want anything to do with you. I ain't gonna teach you anything.
So what is in the future for you? What you got going through your mind? Any plans? What's the vision you have right now?
Man, I'm gonna tell you.
I know you got a lot going on. So
I do.
I'm sort of like you. You like, I have to narrow it down because I got so many ideas in my head.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to give it away. I always don't, because it's I admire people that do things. I do some things and I see people doing it right behind me, and I'm like, I admire that. And I think sometimes in business you can't always give the blueprint away if you haven't accomplished it yet.
Yeah, well, people will steal your stuff.
That's what I mean.
You can say it.
They'll come and get it.
They'll get it, take it, and implement it like it was their idea. So, that's why we got attorneys for stuff like that.
I'll tell you what I want to do. I'll tell you what, because so right now I'm attending barber school again, this time to do my barber's instructors program. So I'll be able to teach. I'll be able to, open up a school and things like that, do apprenticeships, things like that. But I think what I want to do is, because what I've seen in this industry, I've been in it for about 12 years. So what I've seen is almost everyone wants to be their own, like have their own establishment, have their own shop. And I think about that, and I think about all the great barbers that have had to leave the establishment that they were at and go out and try to do it on their own.
Yeah.
And then I think about how I want to build Rooted Up. I have this great brand. I think it's an amazing brand, and I think it's worthy of expanding. And so I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just leave it there.
We'll take that. Yeah, I definitely can see you expanding. I think the culture part,
right,
then inclusion, and then your piece with the just community activism, I think is.
But when I expand, Mike, I ain't gonna leave nobody behind. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna make sure my guys are taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure that, and that's the piece that's missing. This is it. You can't do it by yourself.
Absolutely.
You can't do it by yourself. And people are so selfish. Yeah. They want it all. They want all. They want all. They ain't trying to give no slices out.
I mean, really, you don't grow like that as a person. It doesn't come back to you when you're selfish. I mean, I always despise when people said I'm a self-made person. Right. I hated that language. Right. I hated when somebody said that. I said, because nobody got nowhere without anybody else. It took a team behind you. I used to tell my daughter a lot of times, she's like, we watch Hollywood or watch when they go to the Oscars. I'm like, you know how many people they got behind them that told them what they had to dress, put their makeup on, publicists, make sure you say this thing. I'm going to give you some talking points. There's a big old team behind that one person that you see in front of the camera. Exactly. And so I just don't believe in this self-made type of, mythology that we put out there.
Exactly. I read a great article. I can't remember who wrote this piece, but it was about the Rock, and it just talked about his rise to success, and it was crazy because I want to say in the article he was married, divorced. I think he remarried. If I'm not mistaken, and so when he really wanted to break through in the Hollywood industry, in the movie industry, he knew what he wanted to do. He had this great plan, and he knew he needed some people behind him, but he knew he needed somebody to lead those people. And he actually went back and hired his ex-wife, which I believe was in marketing. And so, and you kind of can see where the Rock is right now. But it was a great example of putting the right pieces together, putting the right people in the same room. Right. That you have to have the vision. Like, I have to have the vision. I don't expect my people to have the vision. I got to have the vision, and I got to be the motivator. But I need them to do what you need to do. I need you to believe in me. Yeah.
Well, that's just what we got through talking about. That's leadership. Right. Because a leader, when I talked about earlier, a leader says, "Here's the vision," but you got to have people that execute the vision. You have to. Because really the reality of it is you don't have all the skill set within you. You got one set of skill set, and then you need to. It's like a puzzle. That's how I think of business. It's like a puzzle, and I have to know where I fit. And so I think you hit it right on the head with that one.
And you got to share. There's been times, you can't get all the glory. I see these cats, man, they want all the glory. I don't want it. There's times I get, where we doing at the homeless alliance, we down there volunteering, we got the news down there. Put my barber on camera. Let him do the interview, and I'll go over some speaking points with him. Hey, do's and don'ts. Don't say this. Don't say blah blah blah. Give him some attention. And I think sometimes, man, we just get caught up. We want all the money, we want all the glory. We don't want to share it at all. And what's going to happen is people are going to become envy of you and jealous of you, and that love that they once had for you as a leader, it's going to turn to hate, because they're going to see through that. Man, he really kind of doing this all for himself, And I've never had that problem.
Yeah,
that's
good.
And so I don't know if that's a blessing.
You definitely feel it in your shop, and just I like the word that you use, just intention. I think you got good intention, and people feel that type of stuff.
Yeah, you have to be intentional, man. I don't believe, I love how things. I think you got to be able to see the signs. You got to be able to see. Like, sometimes I could literally put a plan together, but it's only because I'm being patient and I'm waiting for a sign, a signal. Then when I see the sign, I'm like, okay, boom, this is what I've been waiting on. Okay, now I can run with it.
And sometimes it don't come fast because it's still in the works. You know what I'm saying? It's still, you still in the kitchen, right?
Right.
And you still trying to get it just right. Maybe I didn't put that. Maybe I missed something when I baked that cake, or maybe I missed something when I did that gumbo. And so you still in the kitchen, and then finally it just hits you, and then that's when you can go with it. You
got to run with it, and so I think I'm patient in that way. I'm patient, and I'm intentional. So I guess I was saying all of that to say I'm very intentional, but I'm also patient, and I wait on those things. I wait on those doors to open up, if you will, or those connections to meet. I wait on those things sometimes, and then I'm like, okay, boom, that's what this is about. Now I can be intentional. Now I feel good about taking control and taking the next steps to whatever it is.
That's good.
And so that's kind of how I do things, man. Everything, we have that program with the our artists in residence program, and that's another thing that we do. We have local artists come in and do a complete exhibit of their artwork. We don't take any money. In fact, man, I put money into it because we do parties and things like that to try to get some of their stuff. So again, just being intentional. I tell people all the time, I could have Michael Jordan on the wall, Magic on the wall, all these guys, LeBron on the wall, jerseys on the wall, But again, I felt, I got a sign, and as simple as the sign was, I was like, ooh, it gave me the ability to be intentional about something. And so it's things like that I wait on, and and just be intentional. I think some people out here, man, it's cool to go with the flow. I dig that, just going with the flow. But I feel like if you're not intentional, if you're not really putting a lot of thought into what you're doing, making sure that everyone is comfortable, just trying to make sure everything is right.
Absolutely.
And not just going with it,
Well, before we get ready to finish up, tell people where your shop is one more time and how they can reach you, and
absolutely
your website and things like that.
Thank you. Well, it's Rooted Barber Plus Shop, 3515 North Classen. Everything on our social media, I believe, is Rooted OKC. The website is rootedokc.com. And we're just gonna keep moving and humping and jumping and making this thing happen. That's it. That's all I could do. And being intentional. But I think in the future, in the next year or two, I'm gonna really make some changes in this industry.
Yeah.
And you'll see it. You'll see it right now. I'm on the state Barber and Cosmetology Board. I hold a position on that at that table. Also on a national board called NABA, National Association of Barber Boards of America. It's so cool. This organization is strictly for barbers. It's been around, I almost want to say, since the 40s. It's the first. So the way it's set up is that you have so it's an actual board. So you have a president, and then you have 3 vice presidents. So I'm the 3rd vice president. And right now, it's the first time in history that it's all the presidents are black men.
Wow. On
this board.
That's amazing.
That has never happened before.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so that's really cool. But with those, having those seats at those, the seats at those tables, I'm able to directly influence this industry too, And I didn't really grasp that until like a year or two after I was in these positions that I was like, dang, I really have some influence.
Yeah,
on my industry.
And you're using it for good.
Yeah. So along with that, man, I really, want to see some changes being made personally in my personal life, my business life, and then just in this industry.
Yeah.
So
well, I appreciate you for coming on the podcast, man.
It.
Appreciate what you're doing. So I'm definitely gonna have Bruce back, and so please check out his barbershop, Rooted. Check out his website. www.rooted.com and
rootedokc.com.
rootedokc.com. All right. Thank you very much, Bruce.
I appreciate you, Mike. All right, brother.
And this wraps up another episode of the Spillover Effect Podcast with Michael Dickerson. But Michael will be back to tackle more issues on how to improve your overall employee experience. Again, this has been the Spillover Effect Podcast with Michael Dickerson.